Hey everyone, Calylon here, and I'm really excited to do this SketchBox sketching. So this box was focused on tinted graphite. So I assumed it was going to be a very messy medium, but actually it turned out to be relatively clean because I paired it with a watercolor format. So what I did is I did a loose sketch with just a regular graphite pencil and just to get the basics down before I brought in the materials. I began using the Cretacolor exclusive pocket set that included an ArtGraph white lightning pencil. So using it on this tinted background really made it pop. I then moved on to my Spectrum Noir Colortint Cafe au Latte because it had more color in it than the graphites, and I wanted to make sure that I got some warm tones into the shadows before I started adding it. I was thinking maybe I would use the Cretacolor red graphite tinted watercolor pencil, but in my test I couldn't get the red tone to come through. So I just stuck with the Cafe au Latte for the shadows and the edging. I first did everything dryly with the pencils. They went down fine on the watercolor paper. There are some times where I felt like I had to press a lot harder than I would with a color pencil to get it to come through, but I'm not certain if that's because of the tone of the paper and the colors I was working with, or if it was the material itself. Once I got the Cafe au Latte Spectrum Noir pencil down, I then went on to the Derwent graphite tint pencil in the Chestnut because I wanted to get some of that graphite into the shadows. I was a little worried about creating a skin color, so instead I decided to use the graphites to create a shading to the skin. But let the paper be primarily the paper with the white highlights from the orb. Once I got done with that, I moved back to the Cretacolor pencils and started working the colors into the shadows and the shirts because I really wanted them to pop. Even though my reference image had a white shirt, I wanted to make sure I had used all the materials in this box. Here I'm going in with the red and just it doesn't do what I want it to do, so I just jumped over to the green. The red was just too dark and never really had enough red color tinting. I don't know if my pencil just wasn't great because when I looked at the packaging, it really showed that the red should give in a really crimson effect with the graphite. Okay, so here I'm going in with the rest of the Cretacolor graphic set with just the dark graphite pencil, and then just going in lightly with the light tone graphite pencil to do some details. The packaging of the Cretacolor suggested that I use the entire thing to introduce water to it, and the best means to do that would be to use a spray bottle, which is where I introduce next. The only thing I have forgotten to think about is that once adding water to the paper, even though the effect was brilliant, it did cause my paper to curl up, which unfortunately I had to quickly tape down, and by the time I got back, some of the water had evaporated. But I love the effect right off the bat as soon as the water hit the paper. It really brought out some vivid colors from the Graphitint graphite pencils. I decided I wanted a really loose feel to it to bring in a sort of watercolor with the colored pencils. So I tried to add, soften all the shadows and all the lines and try to not worry too much about keeping a hard edge in anywhere in particular. I added additional water to the brush, which worked beautifully. I really enjoyed the Princeton Heritage Round number 6. It will definitely be a staple in my watercolors to go forward. It held the water really well and it lifted great as well. Once I got done with the figure, I decided I was going to use the Derwent Graphite Tint Dark Indigo and Juniper as the background. And this really gave some really nice texture. The colors were way too vivid to use on my portrait in particular, just because I wasn't going for an overly saturated image, but it really blended really nicely and well. In the completed image, in person, there's still a glitter or sparkle because of the graphite within the paints, but aside from that, it's pretty cool. Okay, so here we started playing with the ArtGraph Drawing Graphite Putty, where it suggested that you add water to it and mix it to your desired appearance. As you can tell, I am mixing for quite some time and it never really got too dark. I found that the best way to get a darker quality to it is to rub your brush directly on the putty when wet and treat it like it was one of the pads. Honestly, I don't think the black really added too much to my painting, just because I couldn't get it to be like a nice solid black. It was sort of it was a tone, and I will have to play with it further to really figure out how to get some really deep tones out of it. Overall, these materials were really fun to play with. I will continue to use them in a lot of my artwork, and I'm really happy with how this portrait came out. If you also got the box, send me a link with the pictures that you did as well, which you had a hard time with and what you found worked. Thank you so much for watching this, and if you haven't seen it yet, check out the unboxing. Thank you so much, guys, and have a wonderful day.